Now, everyone who picks up the rosary can obtain graces. I don't know what you need. I don't know what you will receive by praying the Holy Rosary. Our lives are just so unique. Our needs are just so unique. I don't know. Our Lady definitely knows, however. When you pick up that rosary, she already has graces prepared for you, and you just open your heart and let her surprise you. Let her give you all that she has prepared for you specifically. There are, however, 15 graces that anybody who prays the rosary is guaranteed to receive. These 15 special graces are called the 15 promises of the Holy Rosary. And it's these that I'd just like to share with you today. My name is Father Matthias, and you're watching Marian Maximalism. Our Lady of Fatima asked us to pray the Holy Rosary every single day. And Sister Lucia, who was one of the visionaries of Fatima, took that to heart. And she prayed the Holy Rosary every day. And she loved the Rosary, and she obtained so many graces through the Holy Rosary. She was able to say later on in her life, when she was already a Carmelite nun, that since the Virgin Mary attached such great importance and such great efficacy to the Holy Rosary, there is no problem, neither material nor spiritual, national or international, whatever problem. There's no problem that cannot be resolved by means of the prayer of the Holy Rosary and our personal sacrifices. Okay, keep those two things in mind. Rosary and sacrifice, they go together. In fact, the best sacrifice that we can make is to actually pray the Holy Rosary and to pray it daily. That takes sacrifice. If you combine them together, there's no problem that cannot be resolved. When recited with devotions, as Sister Lucia consoles Our Lady, wiping away so many tears from her immaculate heart. And Sister Lucia, again, we begin with her, but we could quote like an endless list of saints who say the same thing. Let me just give you a couple more examples. St. Pius X, Pope. He received an audience once, and he received a lot of audiences. He was the Pope. But what made this audience special was that a young man was there who had a rosary around his neck, very prominent, very visible. And this caught the eye of Pius X. And Pius X, paying attention to this, finally turned to the boy and just said, "Young man, remember that by means of that Holy Rosary, you can obtain all things. By the Rosary, you can obtain all graces." And St. Therese of the Child Jesus assures us as well. Let me actually read to you. She says, by means of the Rosary, you can obtain everything. And then she goes on to explain. She uses like a nice image, a beautiful image. She says, according to a graceful image, the Rosary is a long chain which ties heaven to earth. One of the ends of that chain is in our hands. That's when we hold the Rosary. The other in the hands of Our Lady. The Rosary makes its way up like incense to the feet of the Almighty, and Mary sends it right back our way like a dew of grace, which regenerates our hearts. And for all these reasons, St. John Paul II, again, he also loved the Rosary, and he would say, in fact, that he not only loved it, it was his favorite prayer, and he would constantly recommend it to the faithful. The 15 promises of the Rosary. The first, those who faithfully serve me by the recitation of the Rosary shall receive signal graces. Now it's important to note that these signal graces come from the word signum in Latin, or sign in English. And these graces are particular signs, particular indications for us of what God's will is for us. There are particular graces of discernment for us to know God's will, to embrace it, and to follow it. That's promise number one. Promise number two, I promise my special protection and the greatest graces to all those who shall recite my Rosary. Promise number three, the Rosary shall be a powerful armor against hell, against evil spirits, against the assaults of the evil one. It will destroy vice. It will decrease sin. It will defeat heresies. Number four, the recitation of the Rosary will cause virtue and good works to flourish. It will obtain for souls the abundant mercy of God. It will withdraw the hearts of men from the love of the world and its vanities, its emptiness, and will lift them to the desire of eternal things. Oh, that souls would sanctify themselves by this means. Our Lady wishes to sanctify souls, to sanctify you, to sanctify me, to sanctify each and every soul by means of the Holy Rosary. Such an easy way to become saints. Padre Pio, how many rosaries did he pray? He had a mystical grace, was able to pray tens and hundreds every day. That was his special path to holiness, and it can be for me and for you as well. Number five, the soul which recommends itself to me by the recitation of the Rosary shall not perish. Number six, those who recite my Rosary devoutly, applying themselves to the consideration of its sacred mysteries, shall never be conquered by misfortune, and as just as God will not chastise them, nor shall they perish by an unprovided death, which means they will never be unprepared for heaven at the moment of death. Our Lady will make sure that either they persevere in grace all the way until death, or if, God forbid, they are not in the state of grace at that moment, Our Lady will obtain them all that is necessary to regain that grace before they die. Number 7, those who have a true devotion to the Rosary shall not die without the sacraments of the Church. And this promise helps us to understand better the previous one, number 6, which we just read. Number 8, those who faithfully recite the Rosary shall have during their life and at their death the light of God and the plenitude of His graces. At the moment of death, they shall participate in the merits of the saints in paradise. Number 9, I shall deliver from purgatory those who have been devoted to the Rosary. Number 10, the faithful children of the Rosary shall merit a high degree of glory in heaven. Number 11, by the recitation of the Rosary you shall obtain all that you ask of me. Number 12, those who propagate the Holy Rosary shall be aided by me in their necessities. And think how amazing this is. This promise applies to all those who try to spread devotion to the Rosary, all those who maybe try to get a friend to pray the Rosary with them, or to all those parents who teach their children to pray the Rosary, grandparents who teach their grandchildren, catechists who patiently teach their students to pray the Rosary and pray it with them. This promise is in a special way for you. Number 13, I have obtained from my divine Son that all the advocates of the Rosary shall have for intercessors the entire celestial court during their life and at the hour of their death. Number 14, all who recite the Rosary are my beloved children and the brothers and sisters of my only Son, Jesus Christ. And number 15, this is amazing, get ready. Devotion for my Rosary is a great sign of predestination. Now, a sign of predestination is not an assurance that we are indeed already saved or that for sure we will go to heaven. We have to, in fact, work out our salvation in fear and trembling. But the Rosary is a sign of predestination in the sense that it indicates that we are at least moving in the right direction. And if we keep going in that direction, we will reach the goal, which is the vision of God together with Our Lady for all eternity in heaven. All of you can obtain graces by means of the Holy Rosary. Our Lady knows what graces she has prepared for you, unique and special graces for each and every one of you. Let her surprise you. But be sure that whoever picks up the Rosary will definitely receive these 15 special graces, which are the 15 promises of the Rosary that apply to everybody who loves it, who picks it up, and who prays it devoutly.